Morning everybody, so today we're going to do a coast-to-coast cycle route and we have a question for you. Is this the shortest coast-to-coast in the UK? We tried this a couple of months ago and it was incredibly muddy, so we had a bit of an abortive attempt, came back to the van after about 8 miles, and then today we're trying again on a slightly different route, but it's still going to be a coast-to-coast. Good morning everybody, I'm Jill, behind the camera's Roger, and we are Which Way Now? Are we having fun yet? No. Oh God. So here we are, we're on the 12-mile cycle route from Devon to Portreath. We don't know if this is the shortest cycle route from coast to coast, but it certainly feels like it might be one of them. It's a gorgeous sunny day, which is quite unusual because it's been pouring with rain for the last however many days in Cornwall here. And behind us you can see the railway bridge, and if you look very carefully you can also see another bridge underneath it, which is where the old railway used to go. Slightly lower, and you can see the stone arches of that as well.
But at the moment it's a lot less muddy than it was last time we did this route. So
It's only because of the silly route that you described last time.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it? But yeah, no, at the moment it's lovely actually, isn't it?
It's a beautiful day today.
Hardly anyone around. It's delightful.
And it's half term as well, so there's still hardly anybody around, but we're not near a car park at the moment, so that's probably why.
And it's relatively early, it's still only...
Quarter to 10, 10 o'clock, something
Yep.
like that. Oh, blimey, O'Reilly. Ah! Ah! Oh my God, this is terrible. This is just like cycling along a stream bed. Oh dear, I've got very wet socks now as well. This is, yeah, I'm not sure if this is the cycle path, but it certainly looks like it. But boy, oh boy, it's damp. I can't tell if this is the cycle path or the stream. We might even be cycling on the stream. I can't really tell, to be honest. This is the Carnan Valley, which is where they found gold years and years ago. But I think all the moment all they'll find is water. Unbelievable. I have incredibly wet feet now as well.
Yeah, my feet are absolutely soaking. It was quite deep in places, wasn't it?
That was very deep in places. I was thinking, no, don't put your foot down, whatever.
Exactly.
Oh,
Well, that's
dear.
the reason I couldn't stop before then.
No,
'cause I was
that's
thinking,
fine.
Right, where shall I go?
And I was thinking, how do I know if he's ready? I think probably meant to go on that side rather than this side.
I think the other side probably will be better
yeah.
next time.
But that's
there
fine.
you
I know we can go back the other way.
go. Yep.
Slightly damp feet now, but that's
Yep.
okay.
At least we've got
fun.
something to change back in Henry anyway.
Yes, indeed. That was fun though, wasn't it? And it was very clean water as well, which
It
was
was
good.
very clean water. No, it was lovely. Ish.
Bikes will be a bit cleaner now as well. I remember this from when we did this little bit before, and this is quite an interesting, precarious little narrow bridge, which I can't necessarily cycle over because, oh, I can now. We just had to stop for 4 horses to come over this bridge, and apparently they didn't like the sound of their hooves on it. But it's a very pretty little bridge. So this is part of the old arsenic works which used to be here, and the sign says that basically this was the British Arsenic Company, which then became the Cornwall Arsenic Company, and it was obviously part of the mining of copper and tin, but we don't quite know what the arsenic was used for, because apart from killing people with arsenic, we don't actually know what else arsenic could be used for. But I don't think they killed that many people, and apparently this stopped at the beginning of World War II. And this arsenic was famed for its high quality throughout Europe and beyond, apparently. High quality arsenic, low quality arsenic, who knew? Who knew there was any difference, and whether it matters, I really don't know. So Roger's just looked up what arsenic was used for, and it was used to make bronze in alloys with copper and various other bits to make it harder. It was used, women in the 18th century used to ingest it with chalk and vinegar to make their skins paler, to prove that they hadn't been working in the fields. It was used to make ammunition. It was also used in dyes for wallpaper, and apparently was implicated in the death of Napoleon I in 1821. Who knew you could dye by wallpaper? There you go. So we're about 4.5 miles from where we left the van, and we're in the middle of mining country. This is basically the heart of where they used to mine copper and tin and you could see a lot of the old buildings and things around here, and they would have needed a stream to cool the machinery down and also to power some of the things that they had running as well. And it's been amazing countryside that we've come through. It's been quite barren, but it's been lovely, and as I say, there's lots of chimneys around and old mine buildings too. Very interesting. So we made it to Portreath, 11.1 miles from Devon to Portreath. That's from the south coast to the north coast. It was a lovely cycle route. Some of it was a bit bumpy, I think it's fair to say.
It was, yes.
And some of it was a little bit muddy. Look at the state of our bike, slightly muddier than I thought it was as well. But it was great. It was mostly traffic-free, probably.
It was. Less than a mile was
Definitely.
not on roads.
And in a lot, and the roads that we
on
were
roads,
on,
should I say,
the roads
yeah.
that we were on were very small generally.
They
We
were.
had to cross a couple of bigger roads, didn't we? Which, if you had children, I think could be quite tricky.
Yes.
But on the whole, it was very simple, well signed.
Yeah.
And yeah, very easy to follow route.
Yeah, it was a lovely route, actually.
It
wasn't
was, yeah.
And it makes it all the better when it's lovely weather, as it is at the moment. You know, it's February the
12th.
Thank you. And yeah, no, it's lovely weather, as you can probably see by the number of people on the beach behind us.
Indeed.
I see you struggle like butterflies in water.
So this is Portreath Harbour, and this actually coincides with the stories that I tell when I do my guided tours at Carhays, because this was actually built by one of the Williams family who owned Carhays, and it was built by him because he wanted to be able to transport his own ore from here over to Wales to be smelted. So the idea was that he built the tramway, or he partly built the tramway. His donkeys and carts would come down from the mines with the ore. They would load it onto the ships here. They'd go across to South Wales and the ships would come back full of coal. So neither way were the ships travelling empty, which was much more labour efficient. I don't know how true that story is or how much the Williams family had to do with the building of this harbour, but it is certainly one of the stories that we portray when we do our guided tours at Carhays. Obviously the tide's out at the moment, and it's got two different places, this harbour. So that was the original harbour, was the old bit there, and this is the newer harbour where more accommodation was made for ships in the 1850s, 1860s.
Can't keep moving forward. I see your shoulders weighted down by.
This is the Dead Man's Hut, that's what it's called locally. It's a lookout across the beach and for when ships came in, but it's called the Dead Man's Hut because it also acted as a temporary mortuary if anybody died when they were at sea. So we're on the tramway that goes down from Portreath to Devon, and if you look, there's these stones here. This is where they used to actually lay the tracks or lay the sleepers on top of these stones. You can just see a little section of them here. We noticed it when we went down to Portreath. It's very interesting. Not very good for cycling on, but very interesting.
You don't need that protection. I would walk on glass. I would run 10,000 miles and more. I would give my.
So we're at Bissau now. We've got about 2.5 miles to go back to Devon. And we just wanted to show you, this is one of the places where you can get refreshments en route. So there's this place here. There's also a place just outside Portreath. There's a pub called the Fox and Hounds, which we passed as well. So there's a number of places and lots of places in Portreath itself where you can get coffee, you can get food. We haven't tried it, but apparently it's very good. So just a little recommendation there. Oh boy. Oh. Oh. That is deep water. That is very, very deep water. So we've just got to the end of our bike ride. It was about 12.5 miles to the quay here, and this is Devon.
Each way?
Each way, yes,
sorry.
12.5 miles each way, yes. About 12 miles actually, not 12.5. This is the quay at Devon, this is the end of it, and this is the coast-to-coast bit. So this is the south coast, this goes straight out into the Fowl and out into the sea over there. And then we were obviously on the north coast at Portreath earlier as well. And Devon Quay was the other end of the tramway where the copper ore was taken, because originally the horses used to bring the copper ore to here, And they'd bring it on pack loads of trucks and things, or pack loads of carts and things to here, to Tramway and various other places. And then it used to be taken by ship to South Wales. But actually it got to the stage where there was so much copper ore being bought to be smelted that the horses couldn't cope with the amount. So they put it all onto tracks, onto that tramway that we just cycled along, and it went down straight on the tramway onto the ships at Portreath.
Yeah, a really nice cycle ride, I have to say. If you're in this area and you fancy a cycle, it's absolutely fantastic. It was, as we said earlier, mainly off-road.
Yep.
But it wasn't...
It was a little gentle hill on the way out and on the way back, wasn't it? But you know,
Yeah.
it was not a hill to be speaking of, really, was it?
No. And when we say off-road, it wasn't tricky in any stretch of the imagination. It was just basically gravel and slightly one or two rutty bits. That
Yeah. I could certainly feel the bottom when we did those bits, but that's fine.
But yeah, no, it was lovely, and highly recommend it.
Definitely. If you're here, take a trip on your bike out to Portreath.
So that's called the...
That's the Devon Portreath Tramway, I think it is.
Yes.
And if you follow the little mining house signs, then that'll take you there. There's quite a few signs as well. We didn't really know where we were going.
No.
We just followed the signs and we got there no problem. Enjoy. So, are our Trek Powerfly 4 bikes really up to going in wet weather and through puddles and various bits and pieces? Well, today we did have to go through quite a few puddles, quite a lot of mud, and there was one puddle that was particularly long and very, very deep. We both got very wet feet, let's put it that way. You can see from the state of the bikes how much mud we've had to cope with today as well. I mean, particularly on the top and underneath, they're just absolutely disgusting. And the back of our coats are also pretty horrible as well. But I think the bikes have coped really, really well. And I think, yes, they're definitely, I mean, I don't know whether it affects the electrics or not. I do hope not, because it was pretty damn wet out there today. But I think they've done a great job. And yes, I definitely think they're up to the task of coping with water. We haven't got electrocuted either, so that's always good news. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and send us a comment.